The founder of 22 News, William Putnam, has died at the age of 90.
William Putnam is the man for which our station abbreviation, WWLP, was created. He was a television broadcasting pioneer, a father, grandfather, and great-grandfather.
22 News reporter Cy Becker shares with us how he will be remembered.
William L. Putnam was the founder and chairman of the board at WWLP, Western Massachusetts' first television station. For so many people who grew up in Western Massachusetts, this will always be Bill Putnam's indelible image, giving one of his hard-hitting editorials he was so famous for delivering in his own unique style. To Putnam, the son of a former mayor and prominent industrialist, goes the honor of being the first to put a UHF television station on the map. Putnam proudly recalls during WWLP's 25th anniversary program what it took to get this landmark station on the air back in March of 1953.
It represented a dream by a handful of people who combined idealism with some farsightedness and a lot of guts.
He was a man who would not settle for merely dreaming his dream, and he was multifaceted. Bill Putnam led an adventurous life, scaling the heights in the fast-emerging medium of television, matching his passion for climbing mountains. We in the news business found a strong ally in this man, who refused to confine his energies behind an executive's desk.
We felt this community needed a strong alternative voice of news and editorial information about the community, in opposition to the monopoly voice of the local newspapers. And we were determined to pull it off.
He was a commanding presence, both as a broadcasting pioneer and a leader in the community here in the Pioneer Valley. It's no coincidence he built his television station atop a mountain. Bill Putnam was a man who scaled the heights of his profession, always pursuing new levels of excellence in his chosen field. This is Cy Becker for 22 News.
WWLP founders Bill Putnam and Kitty Broman Putnam returned to 22 News in 2012. It was during the station's 60th anniversary.
22 News anchor Barry Krieger spoke with them about their book and their lives in the television industry.
It was fun. I mean, television was fun then because you had to think constantly. You never knew.
In the early days, Kitty Broman was known as the First Lady of Springfield Television. Kitty hosted At Home with Kitty and 22 Alive for decades. Those shows set the stage for many modern programs like Mass Appeal, but she didn't set out to be a TV personality.
I got pushed into it because the gal that was doing it went home. She lived in Boston and she went back home for a weekend. And so she didn't come back on Monday.
Back in the 50s, it was all new every day.
It tells you in the book the first day I was doing chocolate whipped cream in a bowl, and plastic bowls had just come out, and I wasn't that familiar with them. So I'm talking to the camera with the bowl out here and the chocolate whipped cream in here, and I'm going like this, and I must have squeezed it just a little bit too hard. Flew up in the air, down on the floor, whipped cream everywhere. And
Live television.
Yeah, live television. And Dooryard was on camera, and he goes, "Sss." So I'm thinking he's going to tell me how to get out of this. And he says, "Wayne wants to lick the bowl." Wayne Latham was my director at that point. I could have killed him. But those were the things you didn't know.
You wrote this book, How We Survived in UHF Television, a broadcasting memoir, 1953 to 1984. Why did you think it was important to write this book?
Well, the publisher asked me to. He'd been begging me for years because I write a lot of other stuff, or I have written anyway, and he said, "What about that?" And I said, "Well, I guess I can get my wife to help me with that one."
And you want to say that you were not an innovator, and obviously you were an innovator, legislatively as well as technologically.
Well, I got a call one day. I was out shoveling some snow out in front of the station, and
I've seen that.
The station blared out this PA system. I had to return to my office. The chairman of the FCC was on the phone Well, I got back to the office and everybody said, I bet you didn't like last night's editorial or words to that effect. And finally I got to the office and it turned out he wanted to talk to me about how to make UHF stations more solvent. And when could I come to Washington? Told him, I said, I'll be there in the morning.
Well, you know, we've heard from a lot of people about this book.
Oh, yeah?
People that worked for us, not particularly the people that worked for it, but their sons and daughters. And one young man wrote and said, my father always came home happy from working. He said he loved working at Channel 22, which I thought was a very nice tribute.
Bill demonstrated that he still has a difficult time accepting a compliment, while at the same time showing he's still bound to recognize and point out the truth as he sees it. In this case, the truth involved me.
You touched on something, Kitty, that I wanted to pursue, and that's the employees. Literally thousands of people have gone through WWLP over the years, when you were at the head of it and since, of course. You've impacted a lot of lives. If I can tell a really short story, I came to work here in 1982, and there was an ad on the television station. They were looking to expand the news department. And during the interview, I was talking to Keith Silver and Bill Pepin, and I said, isn't this odd that you actually are advertising on the television station to get people to work here? And he said, well, we work for a man who is kind of a different thinker. And he believes that if you hire somebody from the community, they'll stay a while. And 30 years later, I'm here. And your instincts are very good, Bill.
Well, thank you, sir, but let's not deceive the public. Didn't you get a better offer once and leave us?
Yes, but I came back.
Well, I know. They may have said, well, we bought a pig in the poke. I don't know what they did to you or what you did to them, but...
You know he hasn't changed.
And he didn't miss a trick either, did he?
No, he doesn't miss a trick.
Bill and Kitty are now the stewards of the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona. The Lowell Observatory is a family enterprise named for Bill's great uncle.
Well, you're welcome. We'll take you in.
Yeah, we'd love
we'll
to.
take anybody in, any old friends and old employees. Occasionally we see one or two. We hear from them. We get emails and we get letters occasionally. And it's nice to know that they're still alive and we are too, although
Hanging by a string.
she always said she wanted to be buried in a corner of the studio. Unfortunately, this studio it's hard to find the corners, Catherine.
I want to thank you for coming today.
It's been our pleasure.
Well,
I'm
yes.
glad to see so many old and dear friends.
Thank you for having us. It's a real pleasure.
A memorial service for William Putnam will be held at the Barney Carriage House at Forest Park on Saturday, this Saturday in Springfield, December 27th from 1 until 3 in the afternoon. Another service will be held in Arizona sometime in 2015. In lieu of flowers, you can make a donation to any of these organizations you see here on your screen.